Okay, so we continue on with our discussion of the kings, the history of the kings of Israel. Of course, at this point, they really don't exist anymore. They've been taken into exile. The Babylonians have conquered the south. Of course, the north was conquered by the Assyrians some 40 years prior. And so, things are looking dismal. You've got Ezekiel in who is in Babylon, he's of the Levites, so he's a part of the priestly group, but he's acting as a prophet. You've got Obadiah, who is kind of around the area. He's a man of God prophesying around the neighboring areas because there were people that escaped and things. You've got Jeremiah, who has remained with people there in Jerusalem and Judah, although the temple's been sacked. Um, and so he's staying there to comfort his people who are the poor, the destitute, the old, those who really can't do much. However, the Babylonians did leave a governor in charge that, to oversee them and make sure that at least they didn't just suffer too bad because they're able to grow some crops. Uh, as well. I can't remember if we'll find out today or next week, but they're able to at least grow some crops, but it's just enough to sustain, not to thrive. So, but we're going to hear some interesting things. We're going to start off today in an apocryphal book. It is not in the normal apocrypha. It's in the Coptic, the Ethiopian Coptic Bible, but not in the Catholic or Protestant Bibles. It's called the Apocalypse of Baruch. Now, Baruch was Jeremiah's scribe or his secretary, who wrote down what Jeremiah told him to write down. This particular book is just interesting. I'm not going to read the whole thing, just some excerpts from it, kind of give an idea of what was kind of going on. It probably was not written by Baruch. It was probably written by someone who followed him after the exile, well after the exile. But needless to say, there are some things in here that are kind of interesting, and I'm trying to kind of push forward. At the end of today's lesson, we will get back into the narrative, Second Kings, Jeremiah, because he's still there, I think. So we'll get back into that here at the end. So let me go ahead and share our screen. Bear with me. My voice lately it's been getting tired when I talk too much. So it may start to get gravelly as we go along. It's just allergies, but still, it's really bugging me because I can't communicate the way I like. So, okay, so here we are, 22.5. So the Apocalypse of Baruch, chapter 10, which is also known as Second Baruch. And we start in verse 6. Blessed is he who is not born, or he who having been born has died. But as for us who live, woe unto us, because we see the afflictions of Zion and what has befallen Jerusalem. I will call the sirens from the sea, and ye Lilith, come ye from the desert, and ye Sheddim and dragons from the forest. Awake and gird up your loins unto morning, and take up with me the dirges, and make lamentation with me. You can see why it's believed this was written well after the exile, probably during the Roman, at least during the Greek, Macedonian, Alexander the Great time frame, but probably even later than that, into the Roman time frame, because we're getting things like sirens and dragons and things like this. So. Verse 9, ye husbandmen, sow not again, and O earth, wherefore givest thou thy harvest fruits? Keep within thee the sweets of thy sustenance, and thou vine, why further dost thou give thy wine? For an offering will not again be made therefrom in Zion, nor will first fruits again be offered. And do ye, O heavens, withhold your dew, and open not the treasuries of rain? Moreover, ye priests, take ye the keys of the sanctuary and cast them into the height of heaven and give them unto the Lord and say, guard thy house thyself. For lo, we are found false stewards. And you, ye virgins who weave fine linen and silk with gold of Ophir, take with haste all these things and cast them into the fire, that it may bear them to him who made them, and the flames send them to him who created them, lest the enemy get possession of them. So yeah, this is written in that old English kind of stuff, but in the best translation I can find for it. Basically, the writer here is saying that we're not worthy to go ahead and see. We're not worthy to even be here, let alone welcome the good things that do exist, how few they are. So God, here's the keys to the sanctuary. Take them. Take care of it yourself because we can't. So, okay. Okay, on to chapter 11. Like I said, there's just bits and pieces. Moreover, I, Baruch, say this against thee, Babylon. If thou hast prospered in Zion and dwelt in her glory, yet the grief to us had been great that thou shouldst be equal to Zion. But now, lo, the grief is infinite and the lamentation measureless, for lo, thou art prospered in Zion desolate. Who will be the judge regarding these things? Or to whom shall we complain regarding that which has befallen us? O Lord, how hast thou borne it? Our fathers went to rest without grief, and lo, the righteous sleep in the earth in tranquility, for they knew not this anguish, nor yet had they heard of that which had befallen us. Would that thou hast ears, O earth, and that thou hast a heart, O dust, that ye might go and announce in Sheol and say to the dead, blessed are ye more than we who live. Okay, on to chapter 36 now. When I had said these things, I fell asleep there, and I saw a vision in the night. Now, this is interesting because the tradition has that Jeremiah stayed with Jerusalem, but Baruch went with the last group of exiles to Babylon, or at least to that area. So the writer of this particular apocalypse, again, probably it's not Baruch, probably someone well after him, but in order to give validation to the writing, he goes by the name Baruch, or he writes under that pseudonym.
So they think that if you die, you go to Sheol.
Well, that's the Jewish thought. And Sheol just means the pit, although that's where we mistranslate the word into hell.
Mm-hmm.
Sheol means the pit. It means just into the grave.
So that is, they're giving you a hint of some aspect of afterlife.
No.
Well, why are you talking to them?
Because that's what people do.
But you talk to dead people.
Yeah.
We do. That's what it's saying. Go announce to the.
It's like you go into a gravestone and talking to the person there. Are they really hearing you?
No.
The physical person
still alive with their good.
Right. No, it's just what I'm saying is Sheol just means the pit. It is in the ground. Okay. Chapter 36. When I'd said these things, I fell asleep there and I saw a vision in the night. And lo, a forest of trees planted on the plain, and lofty and rugged rocky mountains surrounded it, and that forest occupied much space. And lo, over against it arose a vine, and from under it there went forth a fountain peacefully. Now that fountain came to the forest and was stirred into great waves, and those waves submerged that forest. And suddenly they rooted out the greater part of that forest and overthrew all the mountains which were round about it. And the height of the forest began to be made low, and the top of the mountains was made low, and that fountain prevailed greatly, so that it left nothing of that great forest, save one cedar only. Interestingly, this, because it's I call this an apocryphal book, but there's branches of apocrypha. Okay, you've got pseudepigrapha, which is what this is. It's apocryphal writings written by somebody that we really don't know who it is. They're writing under a false name. Okay, so but this seems to be. He says it's a vision, and so it's visions typically speak of something future telling, but it's very interpretive. So how do we interpret this? A lot of people can take this and they can look at it in a literal sense. They can look at it in a lot of different figurative senses. So you could look at this as a promise of a remnant, that all the mountains were made low. Well, if you took that to mean Babylon or all the conquering nations, they were all going to be taken over, and that it left nothing of a great forest. So even the forest being the people of Israel, that all of them were going to die too, except for one cedar. There was going to be something that was left, the remnant. So you can, it's kind of how this is. Okay. So also, when it had cast it down and it destroyed and rooted out the greater part of that forest so that nothing was left of it, nor could its place be recognized, then that vine began to come with the fountain in peace and great tranquility. And it came to a place which was not far from that cedar, and they brought the cedar which had been cast down to it. And I beheld, and lo, that vine opened its mouth and spake and said to that cedar, Art thou not that cedar which was left of the forest of wickedness, and by whose means wickedness persisted and was brought all those years and goodness never? And thou didst keep conquering that which was not thine, and to that which was thine thou didst never show compassion. And thou didst keep extending thy power over those who were far from thee, and those who drew nigh thee, thou didst hold fast in the toils of thy wickedness. And thou didst uplift thyself always as one that did not be rooted out.
Lord, he told him.
Yeah.
I think that's why this is in the Apocrypha.
Yeah.
This right here.
I tell you, I keep wanting to go into my Shakespearean voice. I don't have one.
It's kind
But
of hard to make sense of.
But now thy time is sped, thine hour is come. Do thou also therefore depart. Well, it's written in Greek, the original language. So, O cedar after the forest, which departed before thee and become dust with it, and let your ashes be mingled together. And now recline in anguish and rest in torment till thy last time come, in which thou wilt come again to be tormented still more.
Two things. It's saying, oh, cedar, that's the cedars of Lebanon. It's that.
Supposedly, the north of Israel, the conquerors. So Babylon. So even Babylon's going to be destroyed, but something of it would be left.
That and oh, cedar makes your life easy.
It would be. That's where the Medes and Persians come in, and then Alexander the Great dies, and four of his generals argue over who's going to be in control. So you end up with anyway. So
That was the moment.
yeah,
You made a joke and you did.
I did not catch it.
Oh, cedar makes your life easier.
A cedar moss.
Oh,
And brings and dustpan.
so chapter 37 of the Apocalypse of Baruch is only one verse, so therefore there's no verse number. So, and after these things, I saw that cedar burning, and the vine growing itself, and all around it, the plain full of unfading flowers. And I indeed awoke and arose. Chapter 38.
Is this a tree?
And I prayed and said, O Lord, my Lord, thou dost always enlighten those who are led by understanding. Thy law is light, and thy wisdom is right guidance. Make known to me, therefore, the interpretation of this vision. For thou knowest that my soul hath always walked in thy law, and from my earliest days I departed not from thy wisdom. 39. And he answered and said unto me, Baruch, this is the interpretation of the vision which thou hast seen. So if something don't make sense, read further, right? As thou hast seen the great forest which lofty and rugged mountains surrounded, this is the word. Behold, the days come, and this kingdom will be destroyed, which once destroyed Zion, and it will be subjected to that which comes after. Moreover, that also again after a time will be destroyed. And another, a third will arise, and that also will have dominion for its time and will be destroyed. And after these things, a fourth kingdom will arise, whose power will be harsh and evil, far beyond those which were before it. And it will rule many times as the forests on the plain. And it will hold fast for times, and will exalt itself more than the cedars of Lebanon. And by it the truth will be hidden. And all those who are polluted with iniquity will flee to it as evil beasts flee and creep into the forest. I find this interesting because it seems to mimic Daniel's vision of four kingdoms, with the fourth kingdom being Rome. So, and it will come to pass when the time of its consummation and its fall has approached, then the principate of my Messiah will be revealed. That the principate just meaning the prophet of it. So John the Baptist, which is like the fountain and the vine. And when it is revealed, it will root out the multitude of its hosts. And it's touching that which thou hast seen, the lofty cedar which was left out of that forest, and the fact that the vine spoke those words with it, which thou didst hear. This is the word. So, does that make sense? Kind of, maybe. Chapter 40. The last leader of that time will be left alive, when the multitude of his hosts will be put to the sword, and he will be bound, and they will take him up to Mount Zion, and my Messiah will convict him of all his impieties, and will gather and set before him all the works of his hosts. So now we're going even further down. So, and afterward, yeah,
You know, it's interesting, it talks about my Messiah, but then also it's been talking about the fountain of the vine, and Jesus refers to that, you know, we think of the fountain of
Living right.
living water in the vine with the branches, so, yeah,
and after,
what he says.
yeah. And afterwards he will put him to death and protect the rest of my people, which shall be found in the place which I have chosen. And his principate will stand forever until the world of corruption is at end and until the times aforesaid are fulfilled. This is thy vision and this is its interpretation. Clear as mud?
Is that like Revelation,
Yeah, very
the
much.
last battle?
Yeah.
When the was defeated for good,
Yeah. And go into New Jerusalem.
because it's,
New,
Okay.
new earth, New Jerusalem. Okay, chapter 73. We'll jump ahead here. And it shall come to pass when he has brought low everything that is in the world, and has sat down in peace for the cage on the throne of his kingdom, that joy shall then be revealed, and rest shall appear. And then healing shall descend in dew, and disease shall withdraw, and anxiety and anguish and lamentation pass from amongst men, and gladness proceed through the whole earth, and no one shall again die untimely, nor shall any adversity suddenly befall. And judgments and revilings and contentions and revenges and blood and passions and envy and hatred and whatsoever things are like these shall go into condemnation when they are removed. For it is these very things which have filled this world with evils, and on account of these the life of man has been greatly troubled. And wild beasts shall come from the forest and minister unto men, and asps and dragons shall come forth from their holes to submit themselves to a little child. And women shall no longer then have pain when they bear, nor shall they suffer torment when they yield the fruit of the womb. Why can't we have that now? I don't know. It's just, we still live under the law of sin, I guess. 74. And it shall come to, we're reading a pseudepigraphal apocryphal book, so we're looking. And it shall come to pass in those days that the reapers shall not grow weary, nor those that build be toil worn, for the works of themselves speedily advance, together with those who do them in much tranquility. For that time is the consummation of that which is corruptible, and the beginning of that which is not corruptible. Therefore, those things which were predicted shall belong to it. Therefore, it is far away from evils and near to those things which die not. This is the bright lightning which came after the last dark water. Okay, so those are the selections from Baruch, or from the Apocalypse of Baruch. Okay.
This is
Now-
the last bright lightning. This is the bright lightning which came after the last. That's creation.
Or it's the flood,
Okay.
or it could be a lot of different interpretations. I will say that this is chapter 73, so this is towards the, I think it has like 81 chapters. If you were to read the first chapter of Baruch or the second chapter, it talks about the bright lightning, and so this kind of brings it into completion. This is that lightning.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're back into, if you want to follow along in your Bible, you can. It's up to you, but we've got 2 Kings 25 and Jeremiah 40, which complement each other. A few minor differences, but I'm going to read the 2 Kings 25, and we'll talk about the other. Now, when all the captains of the forces and their men heard that the king of Babylon had appointed Gedaliah as governor, they came with their men to Gedaliah at Mizpah, namely Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, Johanan, son of Kareah, Sariah, son of Tanhumeth, and Netophathite, and Jaazaniah, son of Mahakathite. Okay. So Gedaliah was the governor, was the person that Nazaradan, the general of the Babylonian forces, put in charge of those that were left as the remnant of Jerusalem. Okay. And that is who Jeremiah was told to report to. And it seems that he was a godly, a good man, and was a friend of the prophet Jeremiah. So I've in this Jeremiah 40 text, I've underlined when all leaders of the forces in the open country and their troops. Remember, I told you at the beginning of this that we believe there were people that escaped. And we did read in a few chapters before this in Jeremiah when the final assault, the final siege on Jerusalem was happening, that there was a group of soldiers that left Jerusalem and fled toward Egypt, okay, but they managed to get across the river before the Babylonians could catch them. Well, it seems that that wasn't the only group that was able to escape. It seems like these are in the open country. These are people from Judah or Jerusalem that have also escaped, but now they're hearing that Babylon has appointed a governor over the area. And of course, these people are anti-Babylon, certainly, because Babylon has come in and killed all their people. Gedaliah swore to them and their men, saying, "Do not be afraid because of the Chaldean officials. Live in the land, serve the king of Babylon, and it shall be well with you." So Gedaliah, as this good and godly man, told them, "Look, we're in a bad situation. Let's just make the best of what we have. Just subject ourselves to the Babylonians." Who Chaldeans is the same. And we'll be okay. Just do what they say and we'll be okay. So you can see how that would sound to people who hate the Babylonians. And then we go straight into Jeremiah 40 now. "As for me, I am staying at Mizpah to represent you before the Chaldeans who come to us. But as for you, gather wine and summer fruits and oil and store them in your vessels and live in the towns that you have taken over. Likewise, when all the Judeans who were in Moab and among the Ammonites and in Edom and in other lands heard that the king of Babylon had left a remnant in Judah and had appointed Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, as governor over them, then all the Judeans returned from all the places to which they had been scattered and came to the land of Judah to Gedaliah at Mizpah, and they gathered wine and summer fruits in great abundance." Okay, so this is where I was saying that apparently they left them the ability to grow crops. I take scripture at face value until it doesn't make sense. Okay. Verse 13. "Now Jehonan, son of Kareah, and all the leaders of the forces in the open country came to Gedaliah at Mizpah and said to him, 'Are you at all aware that Baalis, king of the Ammonites, has sent Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, to take your life?' But Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, would not believe them. Then Jehonan, son of Kareah, spoke secretly to Gedaliah at Mizpah, 'Please let me go and kill Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, and no one else will know. Why should he take your life, so that all the Judeans who are gathered around you would be scattered and the remnant of Judah would perish?'" Okay, so these people that are anti-Babylon, these Judeans who have escaped, they've scattered to the other areas, and now one of them apparently, at least there's a rumor of one, has decided that he's going to come kill the governor Babylonians put in charge. And so Jehonan is trying to speak to Gedaliah, saying, "Hey, look, let me go kill this guy. No one else has to know about this rumor. But if he is successful in killing you, the Babylonians are going to come after all of us and kill all the rest of us now." So that's his concern. He's saying, "Let me go kill this guy who plans on killing you so we can avoid further bloodshed."
So that's a common scenario for
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We could separate and go kill somebody.
Well, I mean, that was you think that was the same understanding that the United States had when they dropped the bomb on Nagasaki. We'll kill millions of lives, but we'll save tens of millions.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, okay. But Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, said to Jehonan, son of Kareah, "Do not do such a thing, for you are telling a lie about Ishmael." So he does not believe Jehanan's rumor. Okay. Baalis, by the way, is the king of Jordan, says king of Ammonites, but it would have been in that area. And we have proof that this guy existed because there was a bottle found that dates back to the 5th century BCE that has Baalis's name there. It's called the Syrian bottle. So.
Well, the name like Baalis, that's kind of like having a name like Antichrist.
Kind of, yes, it comes from the same root. Now, Ishmael, when you read back through his list on this, before here, right in there, when it lists his name, we can take that back all the way to David. So Ishmael, you may look at this as he's making a claim to the throne as a descendant of David. So that may also be his purpose rather than just being anti-Babylon. He's pro-Israel. He's pro-Davidic kingdom. Okay. So, but in the 7th month, Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, son of Elishama of the royal family, came with 10 men. They struck down Gedaliah so that he died, along with the Judeans and the Chaldeans who were with him at Mizpah. Okay, so that's pretty quick in 2 Kings 25. I underlined a phrase in Jeremiah 41. It's correlating text as they ate bread together. So Ishmael and all his and the 10 men that came with him, they have gone to Gedaliah under this guise of peace, and they eat bread. Now, to slay someone while eating bread breaks 2 laws. Number one, you broke the law of hospitality shown to you. Second, you've killed someone who is you haven't you it's like a law of war. You do not attack somebody without letting them know you're angry with them. Okay. Yeah.
Well, that beats the heck out of Texas, doesn't it?
Don't get me started. Chapter 41. On the day, oh, well, we're already there. On the day after the murder of Gedaliah, before anyone knew of it, 80 men arrived from Shechem and Shiloh and Samaria, with their beards shaved and their clothes torn and their bodies gashed, bringing grain offerings and incense to present to the temple at the temple of the Lord. Okay. A few problems with this. I've underlined a few things, but these are interesting things. So Shechem and Shiloh and Samaria, those are all north of Judah.
And they're all S words.
So, yeah, well, besides that,
Very good.
remember that the northern kingdom of Israel was conquered by the Assyrians. And what the Assyrians did was they distributed everybody into other lands, but every people they conquered, they would move into other areas. These are believed to be people that were conquered by the Assyrians, moved into the area of northern Israel. And the people that happened to remain there came to lead them to know God, to know El or Jehovah. Okay. And so now that the Babylonians have finished their conquest, these guys are coming based on their own understanding of who God is to offer what offerings they can at the temple. Now, the temple doesn't exist. These guys know that, even though it doesn't seem to indicate this, except for they're only bringing grain offerings and incense. You notice they're not bringing any animals, sacrifice. Okay. So these grain offerings and incense can be done at other altars. So it seems that they're coming for altruistic purposes. So
It's kind of Christian, isn't it?
well,
Because-
it's Jewish.
Well, yeah, it's a Christian kind of Jewish because they're giving in their own understanding of God.
And this is the same thing that happened when Jesus met the Samaritan woman at the well, the Syrophoenician woman. She had an understanding of who God was, but it was different. You know, Jesus was trying to explain to her, hey, you got part of this right, but you got some of it wrong. So same concept, right? And Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, came out from Mizpah to meet them, weeping as he came. As he met them, he said to them, come to Gedaliah, son of Ahikam. Now, he had just killed him. This is the day after, remember? When they reached the middle of the city, Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, and the men with him slaughtered them and threw them into a cistern. This cistern, by the way, we're going to find out about that here in a minute, so I won't ruin that. But
That's usually where they catch water.
well, cistern is where they catch water. This one has a significance. So. But there were 10 men among them who said to Ishmael, don't kill us, for we have stores of wheat, barley, oil, and honey hidden in the fields. So he refrained and did not kill them along with their companions. So they have stores of wheat, barley, oil, and honey. What do you think those were for?
Get the kill.
Those were for their grain offerings and their incense offerings. And so what did Ishmael say? Well, we go on to what the cistern is. Now, the cistern into which Ishmael had thrown all the bodies of the men whom he had struck down alongside Gedaliah was the one that King Asa had made for defense against King Baasha of Israel. Now, King Asa was the king of Judah, and Baasha was one of those evil that came after Ahab. It was the next short dynasty that was there that involved Baasha, Nashi, Othniel, those evil kings of the north. And King Asa was a good king. Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, filled that cistern with those whom he had killed. So he's not only killed Gedaliah and all the people that were with him, but now he's killed 70 of these other guys that have shown up, 70 of the 80 that showed up, and threw them into the cistern too. Then Ishmael took and of course, this is for water. So if there is any water left in it, it's all contaminated now. Because,
Dig it.
in an area that really needs water. Then Ishmael took captive all the rest of the people who were in Mizpah, the king's daughters, and all the people who were left at Mizpah, whom Nebuzaradan. Now, Nebuzaradan, that is just another name for Nazaradan, okay, from what we read earlier. The captain of the guard had committed to Gedaliah, son of Ahikam. Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, took them captive and set out to cross over to the Ammonites. So he's taken his own people, and now this says captive, but basically he's force moving them. They were told to stay in Judah by the Babylonians. Gedaliah even encouraged them, hey, stay here, you'll be fine. Now this Jewish guy is basically force moving them, telling them, we're not staying here, we're leaving. Okay. But when Johanan, son of Kareah, remember he's the guy that heard the rumor and was trying to tell Gedaliah about it. And all the leaders of the forces with him heard of all the crimes that Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, had done. They took all their men and went to fight against Ishmael, son of Nethaniah. And they came upon him at the great pool that is in Gibeon. I don't know what, I've done something there at the very bottom. Oh, it's in First Kings. That story about King Asa and that cistern is found in First Kings 15, if you want to go. And when all the people who were with Ishmael saw Johanan, son of Kareah, and all the leaders of the forces with him, they were glad. So all the people whom Ishmael had carried away captive from Mizpah turned around and came back and went to Johanan, son of Kareah. But Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, escaped from Johanan with 8 men and went to the Ammonites. Then Johanan, son of Kareah, and all the leaders of the forces with him took all the rest of the people whom he had recovered from Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, from Mizpah, after he had slain Gedaliah, son of Ahikam. These are the people he took with him: soldiers, women, children, and eunuchs, whom Johanan brought back from Gibeon. And they sent out and stopped at Gareth Chimon near Bethlehem, intending to go to Egypt. Then all the people, high and low, the captains of the forces, set out and went to Egypt, for they were afraid of the Chaldeans. This particular story, we know that there was at least some people from Judah that did go to Egypt. And this is where some of the story gets convoluted, confusing about Jeremiah. What happened to Jeremiah? Because his story just ends suddenly, okay? Some people say that he died in the land of Judah. Some people say that he went to Egypt with some of those other people. We know they went to Egypt because in the 2nd century BCE, so 300 years after these things have taken place, a papyri from there called the Elephantine papyri, which is it's named for the area of Egypt that it's found. Elephantine was found that listed them living there, the people of Judah living there in Egypt. So we know that some of them, we just don't know how many. So next week, we're in Jeremiah still, and then we get back into Ezekiel. Remember, they're prophesying at the same time. Jeremiah advises survivors not to migrate, but taken to Egypt. Jeremiah worked judgment. And so again, that's what Scripture says, is he went to Egypt. But there's other Scripture that says he died in the land. So And then his denunciation of persistent idolatry wherever they go. And then Ezekiel, who's prophesying in Babylon at the same time, they get news of what has happened in Jerusalem. Okay, it's taken a little time for that news to get back. He hears about the survivors of Judah and prophesies against Israel's false shepherds. So that is today's lesson. It's very interesting. Like I said, I love this kind of stuff. So anyway, any questions, comments, criticisms, complaints, anything starts with a C or Q?
So that wasn't just a real peaceful time of being separated from Jerusalem. They were really scheming and battling their way through it.
Even in the worst of times, our evils still exist. I mean, if nuclear war were to break out right now, what would happen? We see it in a lot of those dramatic TV shows and things. People would automatically go into survival mode, and that means me and no one else. And so they would kill other people for the food source, whether there was enough for anybody, for everybody or not.
That's true.
So,
What's gonna do is start hunting back here.
and power struggles still continue. So anyway, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Everybody say bye.
Bye.
Bye.